Hi and welcome. I am Jo from Jo's Paradise of Colour. So this is going to be a little bit different to the normal spinning tutorial live. I thought I'd mix it up a bit, make it a little bit more interesting. And do a little deep dive into what it means to be a fibre artist, how much work goes into it, and then how much money you might spend, and so on. But I do this as a full-time thing. This is a full-time gig for me. So I'm normally spinning roughly around 10 a.m. in the morning all the way up to about 6 p.m. in the evening. So trying to do a live in the evening can be a bit tricky for me. So I thought I'd do a live today, right now. Instead, because this is going to take probably a little longer than normal. So if you have any questions to ask during the period that I'm on, feel free. I will try and answer it as best as I can. I have been spinning for about 15 years. I started when I was pregnant with my child. I've only got one boy. I went to visit my mum. Is this choppy? Oh, this is terrible. I don't know if that's choppy. What is going on? Oh, there's like a little bit of a hiccup there. Weird. I think it's fine. Is it fine on your end? My head chopped off. I'm a little put off now. But I started 15 years ago when I was pregnant, and I couldn't get it until after my boy was born, and I went and visited mum again, and then she taught me the basics. I made 2 yarns. I do have one of the yarns still, which I kept. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but somewhere in the room. I did share it in one of my videos, which I'll probably add that video to the link after this live is done, so you can have a look at it, and then you could probably have a look at all the other types of yarns that I've made over the years in the compilation as well. So it shows like the progression of when you start out to where you are now, which for every yarn that I've ever made, I take a picture of and I store it. I like to look back on where I started and then see the improvement over the years. So then I taught myself. I'm self-taught over the next 6 years. I self-taught myself to spin freely every technique. Instead of falling into the pool of like falling into only being able to spin a specific way and then finding it really difficult to I don't know why that's doing that. It's very choppy in places. So I do apologize if it's hard to watch. I don't know if it's my connection on my end. I'm not sure. So I have a feeling that this live is going to be a very long one if this keeps happening. So my goal was to become a freestyle spinner. I wanted to produce and spin all the different types of yarns so I could supply variety to my customers. And it was always the want to, I almost lost that, to do this as a business, sort of, I really have the I can't just make something and then have it sitting there and have no meaning for it. So I have to make something and then sell it. It's a sort of a, I can't help myself. Sometimes I will make something for myself if I have a specific project in mind, mostly weaving. When I do the diamond hemmed shawls and have a new pattern in mind, then I'll like save up my own yarns and do a mixture of the different yarns, commercial and hand spun, hand dyed, and so forth. But majority of my stuff I sell. It was very hard at the start and still is hard, but I'm not used to like just talking about myself. So in the beginning it was a bit more like if I had enough money to get into it and purchase all the fibre and all the equipment that you needed and so forth, and that all my stuff has accumulated over the years, from nothing to pretty much almost having everything that a fibre artist needs. But I've got more than enough stuff that I haven't used in years. I haven't I don't really get to use it as much as I would like. So I've got anywhere from I've got my drum carder, I've got my rose, I've got my electric jumbo wheel, which I do most of my art yarns on. I've got an hackle, but they're very hard to use. I'm not used to that. I will try bringing them out and do some more on that in some of the videos coming up soon. Is there anyone still here? know why that's so close to me head, which is weird. I'm going to just put it up a little. So yes, it took me about 6 years to get used to making all the different types of yarns. I really got into doing the art yarns in the 6th year, and I got stuck with it. Like, I am so addicted to making art yarns. There's just so much to learn, so many different styles to make, and you can really think outside the box with making art yarns. And you can add so many different embellishments to it, and you can make it really your design, which I love the most with art yarns. Like, for specific, I'm pretty sure you've seen many of my art yarns before already, but for example of the different techniques, I will share with you. I don't think I have the good angle on this camera. I'm losing them. So you've got super coil, this is a painted top, one of those carded tops that you get from the yarn fibre shops. So that's what they turn out to be like if you got all the multiple colours in the top. I love doing super coil for them and any of the super double ply slubby yarns, because all the colours just pop. Then super coils patty are my favourite, but only because they're so fast to make and they look so cool. Like, all the colours pop out, but you can only use it for wall hangings and stuff like that, tapestry and macrame and stuff like that, but they are very fun to make. I also like doing the coarse spun chunky double plies. They are very warm yarn, and you can knit with them as well as use them in weaving, so it's gives more things for people to do. This one here is from a 15 micron merino fleece that I hand combed myself and then carded and blended all the colours and sparkle together. Then I had to wash the fleece because it's an unwashed fleece prior to spinning it, so it had a little bit of lanolin, but I love it. It looks really pretty and is very, very soft. I did add some red airy silk and some sparkle as well. So these ones sell pretty good because they're perfect for winter, perfect for knitters and weavers. But then I really love making the really long, thin sections with beehives and slub yarns. They do very well too. Perfect for knitting, crochet and weaving. So it opens up more options for people, and they're just beautiful, and they give a lot more meters than a normal double ply slub. And then you have, like in your knitting, you'll have nice, even, and then you'll have distinct little poppy bits popping out as texture. And then I've sold this one. I need to send it off this week. It's a double ply slub. The technique for dyeing is tie-dye, and I did show a video doing this one, which is one of my recents. So this is so soft. I spun this one up first as a white merino, and then I dyed it. I feel that when you dye a hand spun art yarn, the colors don't really pop as much as if you were going to dye a commercial spun sock yarn. But I love this technique. It's the pipet dyeing technique with the tie-dye as the first part of the technique. So that's a really fun type of yarn and dyeing technique if you want to do anything different to the normal. And then you've got an 8 to 10 ply double ply yarn, but then I've added a whole bunch of pretty, really soft pink sparkle thread and plied it with a silk yarn, which is, a lot of people like this one where they can use it for knitting and weaving, and they just take much longer to make because there's more meters. But yeah, making yarn, there's a lot of work, a lot of days you've got to put aside, and the fibre can be a lot more expensive depending on what you're going for. But I sort of like to make it a little bit more affordable for people. So that's why I go for plying it with a thread than having to get another 100 grams of the same, or splitting the same into half, like 50-50, and then applying that onto it. You only get half the meters than what you would if you used a full 100 grams and then plied it with a thread. They are very beautiful, Patty, but they do take a very long time to make. and they can be quite expensive. So I only really make the beaded yarns when I get custom orders, and that is an option as a embellishment. So normally, if I do make a beaded yarn, it does sell straight away, like within a couple minutes of me sharing it on my page, and it's gone. So they are very popular, but they do take a good 2 weeks to make. It's like because you've got to prep the beads, and you've got to add the beads to a really fine piece of fibre, and you're using roughly 200 beads per yarn, so it takes a very long time to do that part. And then most of those are a very fine weight yarn, so it's like 4 ply or light fingering weight. So they are fun, but they do take much longer to make. But they are very popular. And then this little fella that we made last week. This is another technique for super coil, where you add the auto wrap, which is the brown thread, over the top, and you add all the pretty sari silk ribbons as well. So adding embellishment to your art yarns is what's going to make it look even beautifuler. But if you have a very busy fibre with lots of different colours, you can get away with not adding any embellishment to it, and it'll still be beautiful. Just don't expect to become rich on making and selling art yarn. You can't make enough fast enough to make a profit. You just can't. Maybe if you were making a whole bunch of minis and then sold them in minis, that's the only way. But it is very hard to get ahead with being a fibre artist. You really have to have something else to fall onto when the tough times hit. And the tough times are when the big sheep shows are on and a lot of people aren't buying, and they're saving up for that, and then you're not really doing anything. You're not making any money, any profit. All you're doing is using that time to restock your shop. But I take those opportunities to restock my shop when the times get really slow. Then, so you're not going to make any money off your art yarns or off your hand spun yarns. Not really. The money will go straight back into the business. So more fibre, more supplies. If you wanted to start with something that you could make a little bit of money and be comfortable, then, and I'll probably get hate for this, but becoming an indie dyer is probably your best bet on making a little extra. Only because if you set up yourself pretty good, and you have Like you have a few pans going, and you've got your space, and you've got all your dyes, and you've purchased all your yarns for it, which is the most expensive part. Um, then you could make a bit of profit. I've only got two large pans for my dyeing. So per pan I'm looking at 4 skeins of yarn per session. So in a day, depending on how hot it is during the day or if it's raining, also depends on how much you can churn out. If you're doing something simple with two to three, maybe 4 colors, some speckle and stuff like that, you could probably churn out, I could probably churn out maybe 4 lots of the pan a day if I started at 8 o'clock in the morning and then finished in the evening. It does take quite a long time. So that's 4 yarns per pan, and you do 4 lots. That's 4 sessions. That's not including your first session is 2 lots of the pan, which means you put it in white, you do the first layer of colour, you let it cook for 40 minutes, then you cool it down for 15, then you put on, you flip them over, you put on your second layer of colour, and the process continues. Then that is complete. Sometimes if the weather is not good, it can take you a whole day just to do 1 pan. Cooler weather, the dyes don't set like if it was hot. It takes a lot longer for the dyes to set. So this last lot of sock yarn, so it's been raining every day for ages, and I am so late with getting sock yarn done. Sock Yarn Club. I've only managed to do January and February. I did it the other day. It was raining. It took me from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 10 o'clock in the evening to do those 2. That's 1 lot per pan. Because I was dyeing black, and black takes a long time to set. And I had a lot of like leftover dye in the pan after 2 lots of 40 minutes. So I had to use a whole bunch of white fluff to soak it all up. Which is fine, because then you have an opportunity to colour some fibre that you've been wanting to do for a while. And I got some pretty cool colours out of that, out of black. I ended up getting a dark blue, and then I put another lot in to suck up the rest, and then I got a really light sky blue colour. So I got probably about maybe 200 grams out of that leftover dye that was in the pan. But I really love how they turned out, even though it took a whole day. I really love it, and I'm trying to wait until I get some sun to do the next lot, because I do have another 6 months 6 months to do, and it's going to take a long time to get them done, and I do apologize to those that are waiting on their sock yarns for Sock Yarn Club. I've only sold 2, and I stuffed up 2. I accidentally cut the strands, so I've got 2 for myself, but maybe I can reskein them and make them into minis or something like that. But this is for January. This is my butterfly sock yarn club for 2026. I do not have a picture of the butterfly for this, but it is super beautiful. But I did do a long form video probably a couple of weeks ago, doing the introduction to Sock Yarn Club. So have a look on that, and I do have a picture of the butterfly and me prepping these for it. This technique is my tie-dye technique, where I tie-dye the black first and then I add the colour afterwards. This is February 1. Turned out really cool. But yeah, same thing. The butterflies on that video that I did a couple of weeks ago. So the whole sock yarn club is going to be in my tie-dye technique. And I only have 1 left of these 2. So I still need to, now this is the boringest part of Sock Yarn Club, or dyeing of commercial spun yarns, and that is having to recount how many strands and how many meters are on these yarns, and then relabeling them. That takes so long to do, especially if you do a huge bulk dye and then you have to do them all. Hey. And I am not rich enough to get pre-skeined yarn either, so I get it all in the cone. So I get a kilo cone, and then I have to skein it up all by myself, like on my own. Skein it up takes forever, but it's a lot of work and good exercise for your arms. So that's a small deep dive into my life of a textile fibre artist. You can get lost in your creative thoughts, and there are so many different fibres and different embellishments and different things that you're going to get sucked up into, and your room, if you have a room, is going to be full of stuff. And I've got stuff hidden away that I haven't even used in years. Bought because it was pretty and never got around to using it. Okay, So that was a long talk on where I came from, how I started, and a few other things if you did wanted to become a fibre artist for real, for other people and not just yourself. If you have any questions that you want me to answer on that topic, feel free and I will answer them as I go. So the reason I started YouTube all those 4 years ago was to share what my knowledge is. Share what I love to do, all the techniques that I know, and try and encourage people to think outside the box and not get stuck in what you should and what you shouldn't do as a spinner, as a fibre artist, and becoming and being able to just think for yourself and make something beautiful. And not be so hard on yourselves. Don't be so hard on yourselves. It does take time and it takes patience and it takes a lot of practice to get to a point where you feel like you're an expert in this. So don't be so hard if you try any of the techniques that I have shown and it doesn't work the first time. Just keep on trying and find some way that it is comfortable for you and works for you. Because what I do might not work for you. Like how I hold my yarn, how I hold the threads. You might not even like using the threads. You might want to ply it on the same or another fibre single, and that is fine. That is up to you because you're the artist, not someone else that's trying to tell you how to do it. You are making your art yarn the way you find comfortable and want to do it. So that's all I say. You're the artist. I can share techniques, but you need to make it your own. So would you like me to get into doing this art yarn? Would you like me to get into the sketching? So I'm going to do a little bit different this time. I am going to... I had a poll up. Recently on what technique you would like me to do for this tutorial. And I got a tie. One was for a super chunky double ply with embellishments. And the other one was for a super coil. So I've got them here. So I'm going to draw one out and we're going to make that. I have two types of fibre for these. One will be for the super coil and the other will be for the chunky jumbo slubby yarn. So today's make is going to be the jumbo chunky double ply slub. And the fibre I've chosen for that is the fibre I used to soak up all the excess dye from Sock Yarn Club. In this colours. So this is what we're going to be using for the jumbo slubby chunky double ply yarn, and because it comes with embellishments, I'm going to find out what we're going to use. So where is the basket? So you need to have a pretty puffy type of fibre. So anything from 21 microns to 23 microns. I prefer 21 because it's a lot easier to use. Superwash is easy to use for this yarn, and merino, any wool, anything higher than that gets a bit coarse and scratchy, but you want it with volume, okay? So you can get the big fat puffy slubby bits. So for the embellishments, I have got sari silk ribbon. Put that in the bucket. Get rid of that one. Sparkle. Novelty yarn. Chiffon fabric. Sequin yarn. Beads. Scrap yarn. And auto wrap. So I'm going to shake it up, and then I'm going to choose 2 out of here. If I ended up with 2 fabrics, I'll put 1 back and I'll try again. The first embellishment will be a sequin yarn. Sequin yarn. Okay. And the second one, it's not my favorite. The second one will be that's novel. Would you rather novelty yarn or sequin yarn in this one? Because it's similar. I'm not going to use both of them. Let's try again. and an auto wrap. So that will be interesting. So, sequin yarn. You can tell I don't use it all that often. Probably this one. Purple. And I'm stuck. I'm stuck. It's a purple novelty, so it was sequins. Or even an orange. If I can find it. Do I have an orange? Or an orange? Yeah, beads didn't get picked. However, I can use this as an auto wrap too. But I don't know if beads would go well with it. So, purple or orange? What other colours do I have? I have red. Spinning. Yeah, spinner's choice. Spinner's choice. Okay, so I can do a white auto wrap with silk. Probably the shiny one. So I've got shiny silk for white auto wrap. This is only what I've got left over, so it's perfect for that. And then if you want beads instead of sequins, I can do that if we've got, well, we do have lots of beautiful beads. We have lots of beautiful beads. Beads. And what was the purpose of doing a shaky to pull it out? But I think it was still a bit of fun. So what will I use? Probably these ones. They're beautiful. I also have lots of different ones that I've never used before. They're a light purple, pearly colour. I don't think they will show up very well though. I do like them. I think they'll stand out pretty cool. They're like a green and pinks and purples and blues. Then I have some very pale lavender beads. They're pretty. They'll show up. I think I want to use something that's lighter than the colour. You're up for sequins? See, if I use the sequins, I can't use the beads because it's going to hide the beads. They'll get lost in it. Which one you reckon? Purple or enchanted forest looking ones? Just the thing is with beads, they do take a long time to add them to the fibre. If you want a beaded yarn, I'm happy to do one for a long form video, and then I can speed it up, because this does take a lot longer to make. It normally takes me a whole day to bead, to add the beads to the fibre. And then if I do a long form video, I will use this one. With these. So if I do a long form video for you for this week or next week, I can do this one for you, because then I can speed it up and fit the whole process, or these ones, or both. But today, I think I'm just going to keep it simple and quick. But I will put those aside for a to come video. That gives me something to do for you as a long form. Put them over there. Sequence. You can add them in as random auto wrap over the top of random sections of your fibre, or you can use them as an auto wrap, but they're a bit thick for that. So I'm just going to add them in randomly. I still want to use an auto wrap, so I need something that shows up on it. So I think the white will look cool. I do have a fluoro pink, which would look cool too. As an auto wrap. But then if I'm going to add a fluoro pink, I'm going to want to add some recycled sari silk too, because I can. And I must. If I'm going to add this to this. But I don't know, what do you reckon? I also have this. Not that. This. I think this probably. Yeah, that's the better one. Better suitor. Then it takes away. It won't take away the colour of the auto wrap. You will end up with so much pretty stuff becoming an fibre artist. You won't know what to do with it all. Alright. So that settles what wheel I'm going to use. Because I'm doing auto wrap, I have to use my electric spinning wheel, so the auto wrap doesn't get tangled up in my bobbin, my flyer. When I'm using my rose and I'm using this flyer, the auto wrap will get tangled up here. You reckon pink? Pink or white for the auto wrap? Pink or white? I just need to make some space and then we'll get into it. Got embroidery stuff everywhere. I'm just going to cut it in probably 1 meter lengths. Lengths. Sections. Words aren't working today. So the prep is what takes the longest when it comes to making anything. The prep work. So the prep is cutting the sequin yarn. I've already cut up my sari silk ribbon. And before I start, I'm going to need to take a little break and go to the toilet. So I'm not going to add a lot of the sequins. I just want it as a feature, not overpowering. So I've made about six strands so far. Put that there. This will give you time to go and get a coffee, get yourself set up if you're going to join me, and then go to the toilet if you need. Because this is going to be a long process. I'm just going to take maybe a 5-minute break to get everything that I need done, and then I'll come back and we will start spinning it. So if you are joining and you've got sari silk or you've got some chiffon fabric and you want to join, you need to cut it about that length. That'll give you a length to do either bows or a auto wrap sort of core spin over the top. So I'm just going to add these to my really fat chunky bobbles, and then I will make those when I go to ply it into beehives. So if you want to join, you can get yourself ready in that little break. So you'll need a auto wrap, can be anything thin. If you don't have sequins, it's fine, you can use anything else. Scrappy yarn, leftovers. And yeah, fibre, you want a fat puffy fibre top from 21 microns and up, but nothing too coarse. It's going to be yuck to use. You're not going to enjoy the process. This is a 21 micron. If you've got superwash, even better, because it's so much easier to use. And it's got the big fluffiness that you need for these super jumbo puffs. So, okay. Give me 5 minutes to do what I need, and I will be back. I found myself some grapes to keep me hydrated. Was I using the white for auto wrap? Not pink? So you need to get yourself a bucket or a box or something you can put your auto wrap in. I like the small bucket because if it does fall over, it's not going to fall over. And it just like rolls around in it and it doesn't get all tangled up. You can use like balls and stuff too, but I like using the cones. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm always a bit all over the place with my lives, but I do try and keep to a schedule, but the last couple of weeks has been all weird. Have you fallen down the rabbit hole yet with our obsessions in textile crafts? I'm starting to learn some new skills, and I'm starting to fall down another big rabbit hole when it comes to crafting, doing textile craft. For a while there, it was all about making yarn and then making pretty fibre and dyeing yarn and fibre and weaving, but now I've sort of found other things that I want to try, and that's what my other channel's all about. somewhere I can share those crafts on instead of taking up this channel, which is mainly for tutorials. Which is Textile Craft with Joe is my second channel. It is very new. I only have a couple subscribers. I hardly get anyone looking at my videos yet, but that is expected as it is a brand new channel. But yes, here today I hope I can finish a full skein of yarn for you. So for this one, you need to keep it pretty chunky. So I'm only separating them in half. That's it. I want them to be the like big puffy puffs. Super chunky puffs. So I have turned this on so it only goes when I put my foot down on the pedal, because I do not like it when it just has a mind of its own and pulls it out of my hand. So if you do have an electric wheel and you want to do that as well, you put your foot down on the pedal before you turn it on, and then you turn it on and it will only go when you have your foot on the pedal. For the speed, I've got it to about a little over halfway at the moment, but depending on how much of a pull it's got, I may turn it down. This is going to be double plied, so it's okay to have a little over twist that will come out once you applied it. So I'm going to just prep all of my fibre. I'm just separating it into halves. I dyed this fibre with leftover black dye from my sock yarn club, but I added all the leftover dyes that I had left. That wasn't a lot of in my other containers as well. And they turned out really cool. So you just want to like clean up the ends where you're going to draw from, otherwise it can be a bit tough. And any of this fibre that I'm pulling off gets put into a bag where I do what I did last Monday and add it all into one bat and make a new fibre to be spun. Nothing goes to waste. If you missed any of this video, you can go back and rewatch it after it's done. I'll probably edit it a little, but you'll still be able to watch it. you're gonna go op shopping next, and you're gonna see all this stuff that you could go, oh, I could put that in my yarn. I could put that in my yarn. All the necklaces, you know, the cheap necklaces that you get at the op shop. I take all the beads off and I use them in my yarns as well. So that's the cheapest way of getting beads. If you're purchasing beads, it can get really expensive. And then ribbon and fabrics and silk fabrics and all that for all your other textile crafts. Like, you can pull everything apart and reuse it in something else and add extras to your yarns, and especially ribbon and silk. Strip it all up in thin strips. Art yarn is the most fastest type of yarn that you're going to make. Like, sometimes it can take me 2 hours and other times 4 hours to do an art yarn. Really depends on if it's got extra meters purposely added with a lot of thin sections, etc. If you're making a yarn that has heaps of bubbles, then your yarn is going to be made so fast. Really depends what you want it for. If you want it for knitting, you add longer thin sections and then add bobbles every now and then. If you want it for weaving, you add lots and lots of bobbles. Alright, so that's the fibre prepped, and I can start spinning. So you just draft it slightly on the pointy end, because you'll have 2 ends, right? Obviously. One's messy and one's pointy. You start on the pointy end. And you'll start your auto wrap when you've got roughly 10 to 20 centimeters. Now you want the speed to be fast enough to form your single. But not rip it out of your hand. If you're doing this on the wheel, what is that sound? What is going on here? This has gotten really loose. Sorry. My drive band fell off and it's been a bit weird. It fell off before. Anyway, I've got a little bit of length, and then you come in with your auto wrap and you separate the fibre and you put your auto wrap down the middle, and then you want to spin that fibre over the top of it, around it. I might zoom you in so you can see that properly. Apologies. So you separated it and you put the auto wrap down the center. You need to fasten that in there so it doesn't fall off. My auto wrap is not, my drive band is bouncing around. I don't know what happened to it when it fell off. Now you want your auto wrap to go down to the orifice. So you raise your hand above. Now you can't see. Bear with me. I will edit that out when I get to editing. Alright. So you raise it above your finger and you want this to go to the orifice so it stays there. So you raise your hand above. Come on. This is a bit tough. Soft, but tough. Go down there. You raise your hand above your orifice so it goes down there. Then you can level it out. But if you put your hand down, this auto wrap's going to go down to your fingers, and you do not want it down there because you're just going to get all tangled up. It is okay if this is all over the place. It's allowed to do its own little thing. You want to put your auto wrap directly underneath the orifice in between your legs. This yarn is for weaving, so I'm going to add a lot of chunky bubbles to it. Okay. Because I've got a lot of things going on here, I'm going to add one of the embellishments. Need to fluff it up. So I'm going to come in with one of these, which is sari silk ribbon. So I'm going to wrap this around the bubble. I probably don't have enough length for the bubble, but we will see. I should probably see if I can open that up. Nope. Yes, I can. So you can open it up, you cover more ground if you've got a shorter section. So you just wrap it around that bubble. And then you grab the end and you want to put it in between the fibre and then spin around that like so and fasten it in. So now I've got a fabric bubble. And you continue. And any over twist will come out when you go to apply it. But if you want to keep it for crochet, you can keep it as a single ply yarn at the end if it's not too over twisted, and if it's got too much, if it's relaxed. If it's a relaxed yarn at the end of this, it can be kept as a single ply. But if it's got over twist and too much volume, like too much energy, then you make it into a double ply. And the auto wrap keeps all the fabric and extra bits together, so it doesn't fall off it later on. So you do the same with this. This is a freestyle auto wrap that you add randomly into your yarn. It's not one that's fixed and is all the way through. So you do the same. You put it down the center, and then you want to spin this fibre over the top. This fibre is a bit felted. Always happens when it's been dyed. So I'm going to spin that over the top of that, and then you get this and you put it above your finger, and now you're going to have two auto wraps. You got your fixed auto wrap up the top, and this is a free one that will be spinning alongside your finger. So then you continue, you hold it down slightly so it goes up and down and all around. And then when you get to the end, sorry, that's my chair, you will want to get it fixed into the end down the bottom of your single, and you push it down so it's down the center of that fibre, and you're going to fasten the end so it doesn't fall apart. Like so. And then you just add them willy-nilly as you want and as you feel, but I'm gonna just go Sari Silk, majority, and then add random the sequence. Like so. And always remember to get the end inside your fibre so you can fasten it so it doesn't fall apart on you. I have an admirers group on Facebook for anyone that would like to share their makes that they have made from any of my tutorials. What is going on here? That's better. That was a bit weird. So that's called Admirers Group. So if you want to share anything that you've made, or you want to ask any questions when I'm not on, you know, any questions that you're having trouble with, or anything like that with making yarn, dyeing, and making your fibre and all that sort of stuff, you can contact me on my Joe's Paradise of Colour on Facebook in private message, or you can ask in the group, and I'm happy to answer anything that you might have that you need answers for. And if you just want to share what you've made, I'd love to see them. These make really cool beehives. These. Come on. It's soft, but it just feels a bit tough. To draft. See, I feel this one's gonna come undone, but with the auto wrap, it may keep it together. I'm going to add another sequence. every now and then someone pops in and shares if they want to, but I don't make people. But if you do join, I do every year I do a Tour de Fleece challenge with prizes for my little community. I want that down. I want that up. It's getting all caught up in that. Gonna run out of it. It's a lot of hand-eye coordination. So you just run that down the center, and then it will fasten around it. Normally you'd probably use a fibre that's not so hard to draft, so a normal top that you buy from the fibre shop. But this one was on the line for a while because it's been raining, so it's a little bit felted. Sorry, that's my chair. But this is looking really cool. I'll show you after. It's a good idea using the white. I love to add the sari silk ribbons to my art yarns. They just make it all the more special. My two favourite things with art yarn is auto wrap and sari silk ribbon, and then beads and all the other things that go with it. I have the links to my Facebook pages and stuff on my bio on the channel, so after this you can go and connect through that. It's easier. My Etsy shop's on there too, where I sell all my yarns after I've made them for the channel. A lot of these are added, or They are sponsored ones from subscribers. Oh, chocolate cheesecake, yes please. Bangless is my husband. Uh-oh, I'm not paying attention. Get down here. Get down here. Not you. You stay up there. He's running away. And I'm not paying attention. I'm thinking about chocolate cheesecake now. Now, do you want me to make the full skein or just a mini one so you can see the process? Or I think this live is going to be about 3 or 4 hours of living. We're already up to 2 hours. But we have only just started spinning, so that's not 2 hours of spinning. That's 2 hours of a deep dive into how to become a fibre artist and some spinning. So I'm also doing another live tonight, maybe, which is another fibre play, depending on how I go. Oh God, come on. If we don't do one tonight, we have 2 other fibre creations, or three other fibre creations we can use for our next spinning tutorial. So the the tutorials, they do take a long time to make. So I think I'll probably do them during the day, because I'm normally making around 10 to about 6 in the evening, and then having to do another like a live in the evening as well can be a bit tricky for me. Sometimes I'm not feeling well, or the day's filming has made me tired and sore or whatnot. It depends on what work I'm doing to how my body feels. Like if I've got dying days, that will take it out of me, and I won't be able to do a tutorial that evening. But it takes it out of me for the next couple of days afterwards. after doing a dyeing session. So I'm just going to play it by ear, I think. But I think this time, during the day, is pretty good. So I think all my spinning tutorials are going to be around the same time as today. But mostly on Fridays. I'm going to keep my long form videos for Wednesdays. Doing some type of textile crafty thing. Could be anything from dyeing yarn to embroidery to weaving, that sort type of thing. And then leaving all my actual tutorials for live. Yes, it is. The results are always, sometimes the results can be quite, like I've made things that I haven't been happy with. But then someone else will come along and go, oh my god, that's beautiful. And they'll buy it. So there's always a perfect someone for all types of yarns, even if the artist doesn't like it. I'm only halfway, so I think I'm going to finish this part and then I don't know if you want me to do the full skein or not, but my back is starting to hurt. I'm probably just going to do about half this so I can show you the full yarn from start to finish in a reasonable amount of time, and then later on I'll probably make another one for the shop. Just want to use one more of these and probably add some more sari silk. Fasten that in. It's a nice piece. Because I would like to do a little bit of maybe embroidery too today, but or make those the new stock for my sari silk ribbon into 20-gram hanks if you want to watch that. But that's part of being a fibre artist and doing it as a job. Restocking your shop. I like to give smaller options for people, because a lot of my buyers are weavers, and then you just hold it down above the orifice so your auto wrap moves down to your fingers. And you tie your knot. If I can tie a knot. No, I can't tie a knot today. My hands. This is a couple tries. I'm going to pan you over so you can see what it looked like. This is only a small sample, so I can show you the full technique in a reasonable amount of time. But this is looking really cool. So I'm going to ball this up into my hand. I don't have a second bobbin. These things are really expensive. They cost about $70 just for the bobbin alone. So take it in mind if you want to get a electric spinning wheel. Make sure you have a good deal and you get 2 bobbins. But it's not impossible to do your art yarn with only 1, because you can ball it up in your hand. Just means if you're going to get another bobbin, you need a Lazy Kate as well, and that's more money. And if you're a beginner, and even if you're an advanced spinner like myself, when you have to fork out more money for equipment, it gets painful. And there it is. I think it all complements, all the colors complement each other. Beautiful. This would look pretty in one of those hoop loom kind of weaving. So now I'm going to put this in my basket. That is my chair. Don't need your auto wrap anymore, so put that away. This is for weaving, so you want to use a fibre, you want to use a yarn for applying that is, it's got strength. So I'm going to use where's that feel upside down? I will be using probably a 4-ply sock yarn for this. I don't think I need to move you. So wherever I put them, gonna need length. That should be enough. These are all leftovers from my sock yarn club. So if you're going to do sock yarn dyeing with your little business that you started, that's your money maker, is your sock yarn club and selling sock yarn on your shop, because you can dye up so much and have stock ready to go. So in the time frame that you're going to spend something, you could already have 8 or more skeins of yarn dyed up, ready to go on your shop within days. So that is a money maker in itself. But any leftovers on your cone you use for your art yarns. So you can use this for your core spins, for your plying, for weaving yarns, so much. You can use it to warp your looms. Ah, where's my thing? Where's my thing? It is, you get into something that you can reuse other, like your leftovers for something else. So I'm going to put that in my bucket because I don't have room next to my chair here. If you could see just how much stuff is over here, it's crazy. I could also use no, I think for this yarn I could even use some black silk, but I don't. I'd prefer to use that for an auto wrap because black silk is so expensive. See, I go silk on the cone because I hate spinning it up. But this is like $50 for 250 grams. And then I also use Red Airy Silk, which is a double ply, lightweight, light fingering weight yarn. I like to use that for plying as well. That is more for the more expensive yarns that I sell. But not art yarn, because it's too expensive to justify putting a high price on an art yarn. That you want to get the two ends and tie them together. This is also a good feel to see how the colours look together if you're not happy before you start. And what you do is you twist it, so you can see what they look like together, and you do that with all your colors that you have that you want to look at, and then you choose. And that's the easiest way, so you don't waste a thread or a yarn by the time it's finished. And then you can see how your color from the single pops out, if you like it or not. But I think this is good with the auto wrap. It's the thickest yarn I've got, and I would probably use it for a sky or a deep ocean kind of color if you're going to use it for weaving. That'd be really pretty, I think. Thank you. So you just tie it on to your lead. You don't have to tie it onto your lead if you don't want to, but I think it's a little bit more secure. Make sure you're going anti-clockwise to ply. This has got a lot of over twist, but that is fine. That's going to come out in this section. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. And bring you over a little. And then I will do the big reveal after it's all done for you. So you want it to be a good speed that it's going to freely pull the yarn to twist. And you want these bubbles to be nice and fat, like so. So I keep my fingers close to the top, sort of similar to if you were going to make super coils. You want it pretty tightly spun, especially these sections. you can twist it to help it go so it's nice and tight. And I am making these into beehives. So you just tightly spin it, coil it around, and then you push it up so it's nice and tight. And because this is not a super coil, this is a slubby yarn, you want to fasten the bottom. And to fasten the bottom, you get your plying thread and you run it down the bottom a couple times, the bottom of that twist, run it up 2 twists and run it back down. And when this is all off the wheel, it's going to relax and all these bubbles are going to puff up really big. And when this puffs up really big, you don't want the fabric to fall off it. And you don't want it to unravel, so you're going to want to fasten the bottom. So, hi Mum. And then you just continue. I'm putting up a new video this week. It's a long form one. I'm going to put it out on Wednesday. And I am showing how I set the twists for this type of yarn. So it looks just as nice but better as you take it off the wheel. So you're not going to get felting. You're not going to have it all felted and look gross. So stay tuned for that. That should be out on Wednesday. Some of these puffs feel a bit loose, like stiff, but that's because of the auto wrap, and you just flick it slightly like this, flick it so all the extra over twist comes out and it makes it move around that plying thread easier. What is it? Move it up. Yes, it's raining constantly. It's making me unable to do sock yarn club, and the process is much longer to do, which is annoying me because I'm way behind in that. Like, I'm supposed to have had January and February out so far, but only just finished drying it. It took a week to dry instead of 2 days. And it took me 2 days to dye just those two, because the dyes wouldn't set because of the temperature in the weather. So, fun and games. Has it been raining much for you? This is quite meditating, so if anyone needs anything to make you go to sleep, you can turn me off, like the volume, and just watch it. It'll make you tired. I fall asleep all the time doing this. If you're really stressed, spinning is the best thing to calm you down. This is the quick part. Finishing the yarn is the quickest part. I am almost finished my ball. You'll use roughly 50 grams or so of your fibre, but then you only get like 3 to 6 meters. But that is plenty when you're only using it for weaving. You'll even have leftovers if you're doing it with weaving, with wall hangings and the hoop loom weaving, and where you only need a little bit for embellishment. Unless someone is needing a lot of meters, that's when I do custom orders. I hope I don't lose half this, like at the end here, which normally happens. Normally gets really loose at the end, where I'll lose the whole, like heaps of it. Might turn it up slightly because it's getting a bit harder. And I gotta twist it. This is the hard part. Come on. Seems to be keeping together with this extra embellishment. See, this one here has come off. Still fastened, but you might be sometimes you can save it. Now I've lost this bit. This bit here is way too loose for me to do anything with it. So I'm going to just pull, draft it, and then I'm going to run my applying thread down to about that far, wrap the bottom, run it back up to underneath this coil, wrap the underneath the coil, run it back down, and then cut it and tie a knot at the bottom. This is my method to keeping a super coil together, so it doesn't fall apart. And I know not the whole thing is a super coil, but the end one is, and I don't want to lose it. And you want to keep all this because this is what's going to get discarded when someone uses it. So you let it go, and you can't see that, but I will turn you around and over and back, and show you. See how I've kept it and it's not falling apart and it's nice and relaxed now. This here is the best thing that I ever came up with to keep a super coil together. It's not very pretty, but it works. Oh, you'd be so tired if you're going backwards and forth all the time, especially if you're traveling. I'm going to skein it up. I'm using a small Kromsky wooden nitty notty. They have their flaws. I always losing the yarn off the side because they don't have both ends don't have the raised bit at the end, so they just slip off. This is so soft. I was a little bit skeptical using the sequin yarn for embellishment, but I think it turned out very special. Hand-eye coordination I do not have. And I really don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it all over the place. I think this is attached to this one. This one's so beautiful. Turned out really cool. Thank you. That's really cool, Mum. I hope she had a good birth. Well, birth is not very good fun, but you know what I mean. No complications. But it's so pretty. Every now and then there's a little hint of red from the sari silk that I used. But majority of them, like this one here, is a bit iffy if it's going to stay together. But when I go to steam it, that's going to puff up and it's going to hold. Like, these turned out really nice. And then little hints of the sequins. I really like it. What do you reckon? You like this one? I think doing the minis, like the half amounts, and making a mini is a lot easier to doing on live, because then I'm not spinning for 2 to 3 hours. It's halved. But I love all of it, and I'm very, very thankful that I used, or very pleased that I used the white silk as an auto wrap. But I still think that, and one day I will use it. I haven't used it yet. But one day I will use the super bright fluoro pink as an auto wrap. And I think it would have looked really cool, but I don't think it would have been as eye-catching as the white is. One day. That could be a different one. Maybe those scrappy mini swirls that we made last week would go with it. Like that one. It's got some pink, not a lot of pink in it, and I think it will make the pink pop more. but I think that would look pretty together. So if I don't do another live for tonight, which would normally be fibre play, I have heaps of fibre made up for the next spinning tutorial. So I'm just going to put that across there like that. Oh, I just broke that, I think. I'm always snapping this leader. I'm going to add a new one soon. I will pack away all this fluff that I pulled off and put it into a baggie to make more yarn, more fibre. But yeah, I love it. Super pretty. Yes, Mum, I did mention how I got into spinning right at the start of this one. So if you want to watch the full tutorial, you can go back after this is done. I do a bit of a talk on how I became a fibre textile artist, a spinner, and a little bit on becoming a small business and stuff. The do's, don'ts, the pros and the cons and all that sort of stuff, as well as this one. Little vloggy too at the start. So I was gonna I think I might just leave it at that. I was gonna do some of my embroidery that I've been working on, but I think I'll just I'm just going to do up a full video of me making that one. I need to fix this up. So I will, once this is complete and I've finished the last installment for my other channel, I'm going to do up a full video of my octopus project for this channel. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. I'm making a little blue ringed octopus for my embroidery book to go on the background. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I will do up a full video of the making of that and put it onto this channel. I'm going to be adding long form videos on Wednesdays for textile craft. So the plan is Sorry, I'm eating grapes. The plan is Mondays are normally alive, are roughly around 7:30, 8:30 in the evening, Australian Eastern Standard Time, for Fibre Play, where we will make beautiful fibre to spin on these days that I do the spinning tutorials for live. So I could be making rollags, bats from the drum carder, diz tops from the drum carder, combing by hand, dyeing fibre, making mini tops from the drum carder, hackle and dizzing. I could be using the color palettes for inspiration to go through my bag of goodies. Choose out colors that match the color palettes. And also I bought a whole bunch of new fibre for Fibre Play as well, so that will be coming in the mail within a week or two. I will do a live, probably live for an update, or I will add the updated Fibre to Fibre Play. So Wednesdays are long form videos for textile crafty stuff. Could be embroidery, it could be felting, could be Nuno felting, could be anything. Weaving, crochet, maybe. I haven't crocheted in so long. Show and tell of what I've been working on, and the list goes on. And on Fridays, roughly the same time as today, live videos for spinning tutorials. Today I thought I'd mix it up a bit and add a little extra on how I got into becoming a fibre artist and all that good stuff. So I will put polls up as well on techniques that you might be interested in learning. You can vote on my community page what technique you would like to learn that week and so forth, and we'll probably do something similar to what I did today, which was drawing ideas out of a bucket and then making what it pops out. So that's about it. That's the update. That's the deep dive, and also me showing you a new spinning technique. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and will join me in the next one. Bye for now.